Today we're going to do a DIY product photography setup, which is either cheap or free for most of you to set up. It takes only a few minutes to create, doesn't use up a lot of space, and works well for all practical purposes. Before getting into this, I should say that you should visit marksite.com, where you can find eBay top selling lists and do products research before selling anything online. So the reason I'm doing this video is this is a setup that I personally use, and I haven't seen anybody else actually do it exactly like this. So you should watch the whole video because I'm going to have a lot of tips for you. And these tips are going to help you create really good looking product photographs, I promise. It doesn't matter if you're going to use those photographs for eBay or for Amazon or for really your own website, even Shopify. That's up to you. The goal here is to create really nice photographs. Let me quickly show you some photographs I found on eBay just today, and I'm not picking on anybody. My photographs also looked just like this when I was starting out. I'm by no means a professional, but my photos now definitely look better than this. So here's somebody using a newspaper as their background. People are taking photographs on tabletops, and further still, people are using oftentimes photos from the manufacturer. And this is actually something eBay does not like, okay? And most people as well. One quick tip about this particular photograph, notice the flash. So when you're taking photographs of your products, this is something I do. I like to turn off the camera flash. Two reasons for this. The first is that there's a huge white flash in the middle of the photo here. And this is actually blocking people from seeing maybe important details like what's written there on the product. And the other reason is that it's creating a lot of additional shadows that normally would not be in the photograph if the flash was not turned on. So I like to turn my flash off. So here are the things you're going to need for this setup. Funny enough, the first tool you'll need is a toothpick. You'll also need some tape and printer paper. Here I'm showing you my full setup right on the table. Take your printer paper and use 2 sheets at a time, not 1, but 2. The reason why you're going to use 2 is 1 sheet of paper is still a little bit transparent, but 2 sheets of paper together are going to look really solid white. And just tape it to your wall. What I did here was I taped several sheets of paper in a row because I wanted a slightly larger white background here. And you'll notice that I bent the bottom of the paper so that it sits on the table. Alright, and then on top of this paper, I placed additional printer paper again, and again in 2 sheets at a time. And then I placed my product on top of this. Then I have a desk lamp, and by the way, any desk lamp will do. You probably have one at home. But the problem with a desk lamp is that if you shine it on your product, it's going to create hot spots just like a flash will do. So this is where your toothpick comes in. I took 1 sheet of paper and punched a ton of holes in it, and then I put it around the desk lamp. And what this does is this diffuses the light enough so that there's no more hot spots, but it's still casting some light on the product itself. When you do photography enough, and again, I'm no professional at this, but any real professional will tell you that the secret to photography is lighting. As long as you have good lighting, you're going to have more or less good photographs. If you have terrible lighting, doesn't matter what your camera is, doesn't matter what your skills are, you're just going to have bad photos. But how do you get good lighting? What does it mean? Well, you can do several tricks here. First of all, you can use as much natural lighting as possible. So if you're able to take photographs of your product next to a window, either in the morning or before sunset, so that the sunlight is actually shining on the product, that's a good source. Another one is just like I have here. The problem for me is that after a day job, I'm normally taking photos in the evening, so there's no more natural light. So I'm going to turn on the desk lamp. I might also turn on the room lights, and this creates enough light that the product looks alright, and not with too many shadows. So here, just for comparison, I'm going to show you some photos I took without this setup, and you'll notice that they look just like the usual eBay photographs that people take. And for comparison, here are some photographs that I took, and I didn't process these photographs, by the way, in any way. These are raw from the camera, just a few photos for you to see what happens when you use the setup. And I think you'll agree that these are looking much nicer. And what I noticed is that these photographs are for sure looking much more professional. So people will be more willing to buy it. I have actually more sales with these kinds of photographs, and that's why I put the time into them. Please remember, you're going to take photographs anyway, most likely. If you're not taking photographs, then you're going to use photos that everybody else is using, so you're not standing out in any way. So you should be taking your own photographs. And since you are doing that, Since you're already spending the time and the effort to do that, you might as well put in the 5 or 10 minutes this setup takes and do it the proper way. One additional little tip here, or a couple of tips. Make sure to zoom in onto the product as much as possible so it's taking up as much of the screen as possible. Okay, and that's going to accentuate that the person looking at the picture is focusing right on the product and nothing else. The background, the reason why I use white is because it's more or less neutral. So if I have a green product or a blue product, or doesn't matter, it's looking alright in front of a white background. If I have a pure white product, yeah, let's say like a white shampoo bottle or something, that's obviously not going to look good in front of a white background. So then I would use maybe gray or black even. I would suggest you don't use any colorful backgrounds, because what they do is they distract the user again to look at the background and not at the product. So don't use green or blue or yellow backgrounds or anything like that. Just use flat backgrounds, white, black, or gray. But for most purposes, white is the better option here. Another tip is take lots of photographs. What you're going to notice is that oftentimes the camera does not zoom properly and it doesn't focus properly. So you're going to have slightly off pictures. Maybe it's not going to be centered enough, maybe it's going to be off focus again, and you're going to toss a lot of photos out. And remember, eBay offers you 12 photos that you can upload. So use them all up. Upload as many photos as possible. So take lots of photos while you have the option to do that. I can't tell you how many times I was sorry I didn't take enough photos because they all turned out bad and I took so few of them. Normally I'll take like 20 photographs of a product or even 30 photos, and I'll just pick the best 12. So again, just for comparison, without using the setup, here's a photograph, and with using the setup, another photograph. And these photos are by themselves already good enough to be used on eBay. You'll look more or less professional with them. But there's one additional tip I have, and that's Photoshop. Alright, so even though we can already use this photograph online already, as it is, it's sort of good enough. I would like to show you one more tip where I'm going to use Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, to make this look even nicer or even professional quality. This is Adobe Photoshop CS2, and it's available for download for free online from actually Adobe. They give it away for free because it's something like a 15-year-old program now. So I opened up the photograph. All I need to do is one little thing. Go to Image, Adjustments, and go to Auto Levels. Click that. The result is quite nice, isn't it? You can see that it's even got the slight shading on the borders. I like that. Yeah, and this is a picture I might already use on eBay. So let me save that and show you that picture closer. Alright, here it is. Cool, isn't it? Oh, I almost forgot. Notice that in my setup I have a piece of paper standing upright on the left of the product. You might ask, what's it doing there? And it's actually serving a purpose. Since I have only one desk lamp, this piece of paper is serving as a reflector back onto the product from the same desk lamp. So it's obviously not as bright as a desk lamp, but it's still reflecting lots of light back onto the product. So you see what I mean? Now I almost have two desk lamps. And again, I got this result by not building a product box, but just using simple white paper. I hope these tips were helpful and inspires you to create better photographs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.